Hey everyone, just a quick note to say this story was written by me. Let's begin.
I don't see why I'm responsible for the iPhone, Frank. She filmed the Did you start recording?
Right. Hi, remember me? If you guys knew me, I could imagine you'd say, "Hey Claire, what's the hardest case you've ever worked on?" And I would say, "I'm very sorry, I can't tell you, it's confidential." Nah, I'd totally spill. And I'm going to. You're welcome. You'd expect something dramatic. Explosions, blood, violence, chasing something through the woods at night, possibly fire. The truth is, the hardest case I've ever worked on started with a hangover and a text message that should have waited until Monday. I was face down on my sofa, using a cushion as a life support device. One sock on, the other missing. My mouth tasted like regret and poor decision making. Then my phone buzzed. I ignored it. It buzzed again. I groaned and rolled over and squinted at the screen with one eye open. Frank. Morning, Claire. You alive? Now, in the UK, someone with a dry sense of humour might use "you alive" as a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, "How are you?" But we all know Frank literally meant, "Are you alive?" I'd been deliberately ignoring him since he sent me into a fairy ring to ask to borrow a long stand as an April Fool's joke. I lost 3 days. And I missed my dentist appointment. I typed back without sitting up. Define alive. The reply came immediately. 3 dots. Gone. Then, we've got a situation. Pennines. I stared at the message. Waited. Nothing else came through. I was halfway through typing an excuse for the mess I'd left in Durham, just in case that's what he was on about, when the next message came through. Frank. Woman's frantic. Says she's seen a skinwalker. That woke me up properly. I sat up too fast and immediately regretted it. The room tilted, my head pulsed, and I had to breathe through my nose like that would help. I held my head in my hands, mostly to try and stop the spinning, but also because I didn't want to have to explain geography. He once thought East Anglia was a Nordic country. No. I typed back. Skinwalkers are Native American folklore. They're not indigenous to the UK. The reply came back almost instantly. Yes. Pause. Ellipses. 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 I audibly groaned. He was using speech to text again, I could feel it. Frank, that's why I'm calling you. I stared at my phone, then at the empty water glass, then back at my phone. Something cold settled in my stomach, and it wasn't the hangover. An hour later, I was driving north, through fog thick enough to swallow the road. The Pennines have a way of making you feel watched, even on a good day. On a bad one, to feel like a place where things are allowed to go wrong. I hadn't even arrived yet, and my hands were already tight on the steering wheel. I kept thinking the same thing over and over. Skinwalkers don't belong here, skinwalkers don't belong here, which meant either the woman was crazy or something had gone very, very wrong. I found her pacing by the dry stone wall, phone clutched in both hands. She looked sensible. She had sturdy walking boots. You know, the sort of person who didn't exaggerate things for attention. That scared me more than if she'd been hysterical. "Oh, thank God," she said when she saw me. "Are you the police?" "No, I'm from the council," I said unconvincingly. She didn't notice. She grabbed my arm. "I saw it an hour ago," she said. "A skinwalker." "A skinwalker, you say?" I said skeptically, pulling out my notepad. "Yes, definitely." Can you tell me how you know it was definitely a skinwalker when skinwalkers shape-shift?" She paused, a puzzled look on her face. "Well, madam," I interrupted, "I think you've been listening to too many creepypastas on YouTube. It stood on 2 legs, but it wasn't right. It moved like it was borrowing a body," she shot back. I nodded, keeping my voice steady, even as my pulse picked up. "Right," I said carefully. "Don't worry, madam. Skinwalkers are native to America. It's highly unlikely that's what you saw." "What?" I smiled, the polite one I use when I don't want to panic anyone. "You can leave now." But You're meant to say they're not real, she said slowly. Yes, I said. Yes, I am. Then I turned and continued to walk up the trail. Hey, she shouted after me. Hey, you're supposed to say they're not real. I didn't stop. Because I'd seen it. It was standing in the fog, far out on the moor. Tall and still, and watching us far too intently for something that wasn't aware. It didn't move as I approached. That was the moment the fear really hit. Most creatures react. This one waited. I stopped several meters away, my boots sinking slightly into the damp ground. Okay, I'm going to take a minute here as a trained professional to educate you on the one golden rule you must abide by if you ever encounter a skinwalker. Do not directly interact with it. So naturally, hi, I called. I'm going to need you to stay right there, I said in my best police officer voice. Its head turned. Slowly. Its face shifted, not dramatically, just enough to make my skin crawl. Like it was adjusting something under its face. An involuntary shiver ran down my spine. You don't belong on this continent, I said before I could stop myself. It smiled. That's racist. I blinked. No, I said. No, it's not. It's geographical. You are telling me I do not belong, it replied calmly. That is discrimination. I swallowed. This isn't a conversation about feelings, I said. It's about ecosystems. I stepped closer. The air thickened, like the fog was pressing in around us. You smell afraid, it said. Okay, now second golden rule. Yes, there's more than one. Don't show fear. No, I don't, I replied, jamming my shaking hands into my pocket. You can't tell me I smell. That's bullying. It tilted its head, studying me. So you are racist. And I am a bully. So be it. Listen, you, it lowered its head. Sir, I added quickly, just because you understand social framing doesn't make you right. You don't belong here, and frankly, you either leave on your own or I'll have to make you. My voice trailed off as it took another step forward. It stopped. Not because I'd said something right, but because it decided to. The fog behind it thickened, rolling low across the ground, swallowing the heather until the moor felt suddenly smaller, closer, like the world had leaned in to listen. Then I heard Frank's voice. Claire? It came from behind me. Soft, casual, concerned in a way that Frank always sounded when he was pretending not to be worried. Love, you alright? My stomach dropped. Every instinct I had screamed at me to turn around. Not because I believed he was there, but because that's what you do when someone says your name like that. Your body answers before your brain gets a say. I felt my shoulders tense. My head start to turn. And then I stopped myself halfway. Frank was 2 hours away. Frank hated the Pennines. Frank didn't wander foggy moorlands calling my name like a lost husband in a period drama. I forced myself to keep my eyes on the thing in front of me. Slowly I said, You're doing a terrible Frank. The smile on its face didn't change. Behind me, Frank's voice sighed. Oh, love, I knew you'd mess this up. You never could just do things the right way, could you? My hands went cold. My kryptonite. Criticism. I always knew you were useless. The voice was right in my ear now. I still didn't turn. Your intelligence has always been below par. Frank doesn't use big words, I said through gritted teeth. And he says lass more, I added. A pause. Then behind me again. Lass. The skinwalker's eyes never left my face. It was watching me react to the sound behind me, cataloguing every flicker of recognition, every muscle twitch. You finished? I stammered. I'm not falling for it, puppet man. It tilted its head, curious, like I'd said something genuinely interesting. I wear what is offered. Fear offers much. The voice behind me changed. Not Frank anymore. My mum. Claire? My breath caught despite myself. That one hurt. That one landed somewhere I hadn't braced for. I clenched my jaw until my teeth ached and shook my head once, sharp and angry. No, I said, absolutely not, that's off limits. The fog shifted again. The voice faded. The skinwalker took another step forward. I stepped back without meaning to, my boots sliding slightly in the wet ground. He noticed that too. Every mistake I made felt like it was being written down somewhere. My hands found the first thing in my pocket. A pen. You carry tools, it said. They will not help you. They will because I have paperwork, I said. I pulled the pen out, clicked it, nothing happened. I tried again. The pen snapped clean in half. I stared at it, then at the thing smirking a distorted smirk in front of me. Rude, I muttered. I sighed, reached into my pocket and pulled out another pen. Tools, I said weakly. Plural. Right, I said, clicking this one instantly. What's your name? The thing's smile vanished. Ah, it began, then stopped. Oh, nice try. My heart started hammering. It was worth a shot. I have to ask, I said, keeping my voice level, even as my hand shook. It's procedure. If you knew my name, it said, you would strip me bare. Well, that's the idea. Its eyes darkened. And if you fail, stepping closer now, I will peel your flesh from your bones. Okay, I said quietly. We're escalating. I don't like that. It laughed, a sound like breath moving through something hollow. You came alone, it said. That was a mistake. Yes, it was, I said confidently, pretending to scan the document. The woman I'd left behind chose that exact moment to ruin everything. I heard her before I saw her. Footsteps. Fast. Slipping. I've got it on video. I've got it on... Oh, shit. She went down hard, skidding in the mud when she finally saw it properly, not through a screen. I saw it all in my peripheral vision, but I refused to look away from the skinwalker. I thought I told you to go home, I said sharply. Put your phone down or I'll wear you like a coat. The woman screamed. She froze where she was, half on the ground, half trying to get up, phone dangling uselessly in her hand. The skinwalker tilted its head towards her, more interested in her than me now. It was practically salivating, drinking in the fear and attention. Its shoulders rolled, posture changing. The woman scrambled to her feet and bolted down the hill. No, don't do that, I fumbled out, already knowing it was too late. The skinwalker locked on. It took one step, then another, then it ran. I didn't think, I reacted. I lunged forward and managed to jab a tranquilizer dart in its hip just as it surged past me. It paused, looked down at the dart, then back at me. With one easy, dismissive movement, it swiped me off my feet. I hit the ground hard, sliding in the mud, the breath punched clean out of my lungs. Mortal, it said calmly, turning towards me. That will do nothing. Oh, I wheezed, staring up at the grey sky. Not another anti-vaxxer. It stopped. The woman was already halfway down the hill, her screams fading, but the skinwalker's attention snapped back to me like I'd tugged on a lead. You mock, it said, irritation creeping into its voice. Its hands began to change. Fingers thickened, nails split and lengthened, sprouting into razor-sharp claws that clinked softly as they flexed. Your potions, it said, stepping closer, are ineffective. A what? I asked, smirking, still sliding in the mud. It frowned, pulled the dart from its hip. Ineffective, it repeated. It took another step, then stumbled, just slightly. I felt the fear spike, sharp and electric, but I held on to the moment. My potions, I said. forcing myself upright under one elbow, are encased in white ash-coated needles. Its eyes widened, just a fraction. It took another step, then collapsed. It hit the ground hard, claws digging uselessly into the wet earth as it crawled towards me, its form flickering, cycling wildly through animals as it tried to hold itself together. A deer, a fox, something with too many legs. Then, finally, a house cat. Small, shaking, furious. I exhaled. "Here, kitty kitty," I said, opening my backpack. The fear drained out of me as I scooped the kitten up. I held it at eye level, its little body rigid with fury. Ears flat, teeth bared in a way that was frankly impressive for something that now weighed less than my lunch. "I think I'll call you Mittens," I said. It hissed and tried, very unsuccessfully, to swipe my face. I gave it one more dose just to be safe. Then I zipped it carefully into my bag. I don't take chances. I fumbled my way down the hill, legs shaking, adrenaline wearing off in that horrible, hollow way that makes everything feel heavier than it should. I was halfway back to the car when I spotted the woman. She was crouched between two large boulders, arms wrapped around herself. Mud streaked across her jacket, eyes wide and glassy. "Come on," I said, offering her my hand. She flinched and took it. "You're not from the council, are you?" she stammered as I pulled her to her feet. "No," I said, steadying her. "I'm not." I led her to my van, opened the side door and slid my backpack into the specially crafted silver cage bolted to the floor. Again, not taking chances. She peered inside, pale. "Is it safe?" I said, shutting the cage. "Sure." I grabbed a bottle of water from the crate under the seat and unscrewed the lid as I handed it to her. "Drink. You're in shock." She hesitated, then took a long gulp. Good. The stuff was colourless, tasteless. Same compound we used in the pub. The same one Frank tried to dose me with the first time we met. Short-term memory disruption, drowsiness, confusion. Nothing permanent. I watched her swallow, then nodded toward her hands. "Hey," I said casually. "Can I see your phone?" "Why?" "Just for a sec," I said. "Keep drinking." She handed it over. I looked at the cracked screen, the paused video, the blurred frame where something wrong filled most of it. Then I dropped the phone onto the gravel and stamped on it. Once, twice. The screen shattered under the heel of my boot. "Hey!" she shouted. "That was expensive!" "Yeah," I said, wincing a little. "Sorry. I can't have you showing anyone." She swayed. I still remember." She slurred. "Yeah," I said quietly. "No, you won't." She slumped sideways before I even finished the sentence. I caught her before she hit the ground. "Don't worry, she's fine." Someone tipped off the police about a woman passed out drunk in the driver's seat of her car in a National Trust car park. They'd find an empty bottle, 4 Polaroids of random wildlife, a headache, and a very confused woman who was most definitely getting points on her license. No monsters, no videos, no questions. I closed the van doors, leaned my forehead briefly against the cold metal and exhaled. I thought about texting Frank, but I thought this deserved a phone call. An actual call. Not a speech to text or a bloody voice note. A phone call. He picked up on the second ring. "It's done," I said. There was a pause on the line, then, softly, "Ah, good lass." I don't know why that hit the way it did, but it did. The praise. The relief. The simple acknowledgement I'd handled it. I leaned back against the van and let myself breathe properly for the first time all day. "I didn't enjoy that one," I added. Frank huffed. "They're not meant to be enjoyed, lass." I didn't mention the woman. Some things didn't need saying, and some paperwork didn't need starting. "What do I do with it?" I asked, glancing back towards the silver cage. "I've got a Navajo medicine man flying first class as we speak," Frank said, like he was telling me he ordered a taxi. "He'll take care of it. You can meet him at the airport." I sighed. "Okay, What's his name? There was a pause. John. I frowned. John? Yup. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Of course it is. I thought it would be something like flowing river, I said, or hidden rabbit. Claire, Frank said patiently. That's racist. I stared out at the mist over the moors. You know what? I said slowly. That's the second time someone's called me racist today. What? Never mind. Long story. I hung up before Frank could say anything else. I sat there for a minute longer than I needed to, engine off, listening to the wind move across the moors like nothing unusual had happened at all. Mittens shifted in the cage behind me. I started the van and pointed it south, towards the airport, towards a man named John who absolutely did not sound like he should be responsible for whatever was now asleep in my boot. Another case contained, another incident logged. Another thing that didn't belong moved somewhere it couldn't hurt anyone. Well, where it was meant to be, at least. This is the part people don't understand. It's not about killing monsters. It's not about proving they exist, and it's definitely not about being brave. It's about keeping balance. It's about making sure hikers go home with blurry photos of sheep instead of stories that change their lives forever. It's about making sure the wrong creature doesn't end up in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person filming it. We can live in harmony together. Everything deserves a chance, regardless of what the cryptid hunters tell you. They can all suck my Sorry, I have to get this. I'll update you soon. Bye. Hi everyone, thanks for listening. A massive thank you to my top tier members, Mark Mathern, 7322, and Ever New, and of course, the Corvus Vale residents mentioned in the description. You're all awesome. If you would like your name mentioned here or in the description, as well as other cool perks, such as cool emojis, member badges, early access to videos, super secret members only posts where I rant and rave about things, please consider joining the membership. The link is in the description and bio. So is the merch link. Just saying. Oh, and I've lowered the top tier price, right down to its minimum, just in case anyone fancies an upgrade. You get everything from the first tier, plus merch discounts, member-only videos, and also have a story written about you if you stay for 3 months. Which would be a pretty cool thing to tell your friends, right? Yes, it would. Don't lie. Speaking of merch, I have merch now, so check that out. I have 2 shops now because reasons. One you can find on the channel and the other is linked in the bio. That's the cool one. If you're on a mobile or tablet, please consider hyping the video. It pushes it a tiny bit further out into the YouTube wild. If you really, really enjoyed it, I think I have that super thanks button down there somewhere. Even £1 helps me toward my goal of making this a full-time thing. Then I can just have one full-time thing instead of my day job and this full-time. I'm here a lot. Good night.